You see, the issues are so many, there are so many angles that one would not even consider. However, today, what I want to do is just to pick up what I would call the mainest of issues or the main issue. And maybe you can guess what that would be. Oil. I wouldn't have time to go through the slide, but the point I am trying to make is that Nigeria's wealth has been overwhelmingly driven by crude oil, which began commercial exports in the 1950s and scaled massively after independence. The summary here is that Nigeria has earned an estimated, let's just say, over $1.5 trillion from crude oil. And this revenue is enough capital to build a nation that would have rivaled some of the developed nations of the world today. But what happened? A lot of this revenue is unaccounted for. And when you read through the slide, according to what I found online though, because one can argue that a lot of things were not considered in coming up with this figure, but what I found is that over 600 billion US dollars in revenue is unaccounted for. And this just talks about where the money went to. Some of the revenues left the nation. Some went through the fuel subsidy scheme. And then there are projects that did not happen, yet money was allocated to them. So this is where I want to ask the question. People talk about the Dutch disease. People talk about the resource cost. And I'm like, for real. And we have Norway. And in bringing this up, as with anything, people would have concerns, they would have criticisms, they would have debates. But Norway did something right. They found oil after we did, and what they did with the mindset that one day oil will run out. They thought long term and they started to save some of the money they made from crude oil. And you would wonder why Norway, if I remember correctly, it is at least in the top 10 nations in the world, according to the happiness report. So because people want to be happy, I think that is a good measurement of how a nation is doing well. When you have happy people, and I don't know how they come about the data, but I don't even want to go into that today. But a country that cares about its people is going to show in what they do. And when you're saying that there are no resources, I'm like, really? When you have Singapore that did not have any natural resource, but they believed that the human mind is the greatest resource on earth. And with that mindset and that belief, they went to work. And it's not a surprise that today they are up there when it comes to national development and prosperity. Yes, I know they have issues as well. The point I'm trying to make is that there are no excuses. Excuses are the nails used to build a house of failure. This is a quote that I love so much. This is the cocoa of the matter. Now, let's just look at what the economists will call the opportunity cost and what went wrong, even as these amounts of money were stolen. We need to grasp the magnitude of this theft, this 600 billion. we need to analyze and look at what it could have purchased, because this amount is larger than the entire GDP of many developed nations. This money, if put to good use, mind you, I'm just focusing on the stolen or unaccounted funds, not even the one that they claim wasn't stolen. Anyway, the unbuilt nation that would have been. By now, the entire nation would have been powered. If Egypt could build a 14.4 gigawatt power plant for just $6 billion in under 3 years, we have no excuse. We would have done far more than this. One would wonder, is it a deliberate attempt to just keep people in darkness? And of course, the nation should have been connected by rail, or all the roads should have been done effectively. However, the reality is what the funds were diverted. And now we have people spending profits on power generation, people spending their salary on power generation. And this has consequences. I mean, this is one of the reasons why people can't live and be happy. Still on the unbuilt nation that would have been, education. It costs $1 billion roughly to build a world-class university. I believe we get the point I'm trying to make, that for the things that Nigeria did not do, it has led to the decadence in education in the nation. It is not fair that just a few people have the privilege of quality education. This should be a right for every child, no matter whoever they are, no matter what they have. And of course, healthcare and dignity of human life. We are not building quality hospitals. The private sector had to step in to cover the gaps which the government could not do. And I do not understand, why can't they get it done? What is the problem? You saw the chat the other time. These points I mentioned, when you think about them, are top. They are up there in the reasons for the high rate of maternal and infant mortality. And that's so sad. So what did this destruction cost? I just want to bring perspective. Of course, it led to a vacuum. And when it comes to nation building, when people do not do right, when righteousness and justice do not, or are not the order of the day, what happens? There will be destruction. And as many of us know, this led to the weaponization of poverty and insecurity. This led to what we call brain drain. Because when a system is resisting you, you want to be creative, you want to start a business, and you're being kept as a bird, as an eagle. We say super eagles. You're being kept from flying. Then you leave where you can be free or freer to do what you want to do. But then what happens to the rest of the people in the nation? And ultimately, based on my time is life perspective, this is what all this has led to: stolen time and stolen life. The greatest robbery is robbery of human life. If you lose money today, all you need is time to make that money back if you've got the right skills. However, if you lose time today, nothing can buy time. Nobody can bring back that time that is lost. So many thousands, millions of Nigerians have been robbed indirectly. The verdict is that this $1 trillion plus was not just stolen money, it is lost opportunities, lost time, and lost lives and the quality thereof, both in the past and in the present. This was the theft of Nigeria's rightful position in the 21st century. However, recognizing this destruction is not meant to lead to despair. This is just a diagnosis required for the cure. And the new Nigeria we want is the mandate, is the decree that these bleed. You call it corruption, we call it whatever. There are probably a different or so many names for some of these things. But we do not want a new Nigeria where all these will continue to happen. This has to stop by all means. In summary, people think corruption starts when they get to a position of power. It is not true. Have you heard people in their 20s, all they tell you is that when or if they have an opportunity, they are going to do their own. And it is this mindset that we need to eliminate in the nation when the time comes. So the challenge of Nigeria is a people problem. We know that. And I am not leaving anyone out of this. Whether the person is a 99-year-old or a 9-year-old who has not been well trained, they would grow up with evil hearts and end up becoming people that are doing the wrong things should they have the opportunity. Another challenge is these leaders have little or no ability, desire, or will to do good or to do right, to execute, to listen, or to lead. We do not have a money problem, but a people problem, but a management problem. Most people they are mediocre people. And mediocrity is not an insult. It just means doing the barest minimum. When you can score 90 over 100, you decide to score 50 over 100 because that is a pass mark as well. That is just the summary of mediocrity. But the sad part is that they claim that they fear God. But the question is, which God do they fear? Which God is that? And I think I said in one of my videos before, I mentioned something like behind the scenes. So behind the scenes, and this one, it feels like sometimes I'm speaking in parables, but please forgive me if you feel that way. Behind the scenes, there is an agenda and a war of kingdoms and thrones. Finally, there is little or no love in the nation.